Hello everyone and welcome to another protocol cheese. Maybe I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be a protocol cheese or not. I don't really know what I'm gonna title it, but we'll soon find out. Um, but either way, another informative uh talking video on the channel and going through some stuff for next year. So what this is primarily going to be focused on, as you can see the gameplay in the background, um, is the Forza side of things. It's definitely something that I want to try to do for next year because it's just something that I've wanted to do for a while. It's something that I've always wanted to do a Forza series. I've always thought like doing HRL stuff, even though Halo's in the name, it doesn't necessarily always have to be Halo. And yeah, I've wanted to do something on here in particular for a long time. It's just never exactly like, I don't know. It's just never like perfectly lined up. And now with this newest game and the current time that we're at with Halo, like I think we actually have a pretty good opportunity here, where it finally is like kind of lining up to where we can do something on Forza, and that can be like hopefully the main thing for a little bit. So it wasn't on this channel, but you might have saw I think we shared on Discord, as on Matt's channel. We did a teaser for the Forza series that we want to do, which is going to be kind of like modeled or mimicked off the like real life IMSA series, which is more of a, for the most part, like an endurance series. So don't get the wrong idea. We're not going to be doing like crazy long races like they do, but mostly just modeled after that, but with the HRL like format, but like do the same types of tracks and stuff like that. And yeah, kind of like model it after the real life series. Do the races on like the same, not the same day, but the same like race weekends, at the same like tracks with the same cars. Multi-class is a possibility. I think we probably won't, especially this is like the first time that we're like doing something like this, and that obviously adds another whole other aspect to it. So I think we probably won't. But it is something that's like potential and maybe to do down the line, or maybe we will do it right away. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not leaving that door closed yet, especially because we have a little bit of time to work with. But just like most likely, I would say, no to that. It'll most likely just be like GT series in the game. Work with those cars, race those cars on those tracks, and do infuse our classic HRL format into it. But with Forza, probably not doing heats. Forza already has the like in-game setup to do practice and qualifying. So if you're a qualifying enjoyer, you'll like that about the Forza stuff, because with the way Forza is set up, probably won't be doing heats. Probably just do practice, qualifying, race, like how races tend to work in this game. Do rolling starts. As far as like setups go, I'm not 100% set on how we're going to be handling it, because so for example, like with these cars, like in the background here, we're racing the new NASCAR cars that they added to the game, and like these are all set up the same. And if we did a series with these, it'd be really easy, and we probably would just be like, okay, we're just gonna lock it to stock. Like everybody's just gonna have stock, same setup, same car, and just like outrace each other. Like that's probably what we'd do if we did these cars. But with the GT cars, the cars are very different. And yes, there's different how do I put it? Like there's different tiers of cars, right? Like it's kind of like how when we did Hot Shot, how some cars are better at different things than other cars, and some cars are maybe better at certain tracks. Like it's the same type of thing. There's one car that tends to be a bit better than the rest, the Porsche. But even then, like that car does get outclassed by some of the other ones on certain tracks. So my idea was maybe we'll do like kind of like a Hot Shot type thing, where in Hot Shot how we selected the different cars and how you use the different ones. Maybe I'd do a similar thing where it's like, okay, you have like 3 different cars to choose from, and you have to use each of these cars at least twice at different races throughout the year to kind of like balance it out a little bit. Maybe we could do something like that. That might mix things up a little bit. And then back to what I was saying on like the setups. with the GT cars, it's a little bit harder. So I was thinking maybe like I'm in a Discord server that has access to plenty of like solid setups. And my idea with that was just like sharing the link for that and just being like, okay, go here. Like if you need a setup for your car, go here. You will find a good one. Go crazy, go use it. They're all good. It's gonna come down to skill difference for the most part anyways, because the setups are all good, if that makes sense. Like it'll kind of equal out. Like no, you go there, you're not gonna leave with like a bad setup, essentially. So yeah, I was thinking about maybe doing that. We could try to do it stock with GT. The problem with that is that, again, like the NASCAR cars, they're all set up the same anyways, whereas the GT cars they all have like inherent differences. So it's a little bit harder for that to work. So that's why I'm thinking about maybe opening the setups. And again, to balance that out, just doing the hot shot style where we select different cars before the season starts. And again, like you have to use each car like at 2 different races at least or something like that. That'll give you opportunities to make more schemes, make more cars as well. And then also it might mix up the racing a little bit. Like maybe you have a car that's really solid, and when you're racing that car, you're really strong and you're, winning races, but you have another car that's, maybe like B tier, and you're looking for like a podium, and that can kind of like mix up the series, get some different winners and stuff like that. Which is kind of what happened in Hot Shot. So yeah, like maybe it could be kind of nice for that too. So yeah, like that's something that we could potentially do. But anyways, this whole beginning portion was just like rambling on different ideas for the series. I guess the only other thing to mention, like practice qualifying, we probably would do the same 2-moto format because I feel like that's just kind of what we usually do. And I feel like it's just part of the identity of HRL at this point for, no matter what series it is, we just almost always do that 2-moto format. I think it's kind of what makes our types of like races fun. And even on Forza, I think it'd be fun to do those types of races. As far as how long the races would be, I was thinking probably about how long this current online race that I'm showing in the background is, which is about 20 minutes, which is it's a bit longer. It's a bit longer than our Halo races, but not by too much. But with this being like an actual racing game and having the actual circuits, I think it's justified to have a bit longer races. And to be fair, it's not that much longer. And also, again, doing practice and qualifying and losing heats. So it kind of like, if you balance out losing the heats, it kind of does like balance out in terms of the time spent. So yeah, I think it works out pretty well. As far as like tire wear goes and pit stops, I think we'll have to figure it out. But I think we will have pit stops. I think we will allow the use of the different tires and stuff like that. I'll have to do some experimenting and figure out like what a good like tire wear setting is to have for our races. I'll have to mess around in private lobbies and kind of figure that out on my own, and then set it up. But I think we will do that. And I believe I did see when I was going through private match that there was a setting where you actually can force a mandatory pit stop, which I think would be a good thing. So I was thinking about doing that, like having like one mandatory pit stop, and having tire wear, having the fuel setting, and having that all be an option in our series, because that's one of the cool things, right? In Halo, we're always like trying to force something that shouldn't work. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, we've had different variants of it, and they've worked. I'm not saying that they're like bad or anything, but we're always like, when it comes to fuel and stuff like that, we're always trying to force something that shouldn't be in the game. Does that make sense? Whereas in Forza, it is literally just a mechanic that's in the game. It is literally just part of the game. It's supposed to be part of the game. So that'll be really nice because, again, like Joker strategy, fuel strategy, pit strat, like trying to work that stuff in Halo has always felt like trying to force something a little bit. To me, that's just always how it's felt, no matter how good of a job we've done. And we have had good variants of it. Like, I really liked the system that we did in the recent Indie Hog series. I think that was pretty good. We even had the system that we were experimenting with for a little bit in Halo 5, where I forget exactly how it was, but it was like part of the game type, and it actually like forced you to slow down and stuff like that. Like, that was cool too. My least favorite was probably the one that we used a long time, just because it was the one we knew, which was like the math variant, where everybody just kind of had to know the math. That was probably my least favorite, just because of the lack of, I don't know. I like how the Indie Hog variant had the shooting to have like different variants of pit stops. You know, like how in real life how you can do 2-tire stops, you can do 4-tire stops, you can do fuel, no fuel. Like I like how the Indie Hog system had that. The straight math system didn't really have that. The pit stops were all like, you know, kind of similar length for everybody. It was mostly just like if you ran out of fuel, you just had like a brain fart of fucking up math, and then that just ruined your entire race. Like I don't know. It always had to be like that to some extent, but I just never really loved that. But it was kind of just what we had at the time, and we're just kind of making shit work. So yeah, like that was probably my least favorite variant. That was the one we used the most. But again, we're getting to ramble point. Point is, just always felt forced to some extent to me, no matter what we did, which I think is just objectively true. You know, they're not making Halo thinking about having a fucking fuel system for a race game type. Whereas it's just a thing here. And that's just like really nice, and I really want to take advantage of that because it's a cool aspect of actual like racing series, and we've always wanted to try to simulate that in Halo, but it's just never perfect because it's Halo. And Forza's system is very arcadey. It's not perfect either, but it's still like a part of the game, and it's still something for us to work with to have actual pit stops, have that be a factor in the race, and I just think that's really cool. So we will definitely try to work it in there. As far as like cautions and stuff like that, for this series, with it being like road courses and stuff like that, I don't think we'll have cautions. I do want to do some NASCAR stuff. They have a NASCAR series in the game right now. They have some ovals, and I definitely want to do a big Daytona race. So that might not be a series. Maybe we'll do a series. I'm not fully settled, but we definitely will do a one-off Daytona race. I absolutely want to do that. I think that'd be really fun. And yeah, you can definitely like count on that being a thing. And obviously for that, we would do cautions, and we would do them like similarly to how we do them on Halo currently, and just like port the same rules over to Forza essentially. So yeah, we definitely, when we do that, expect cautions, but for this current series with it mostly being road courses and stuff like that, probably not. As far as penalties go, I think we will try to take into account the in-game penalties somewhat if they're deserved, like when it comes to off tracks, but there will be some discretion there, because sometimes the in-game penalties are bullshit, or sometimes there is a penalty, but like the severity of the penalty I don't necessarily agree with. So the penalties will always be something where like we'll review it after the race like we do with Halo, and again, maybe take suggestion from the in-game penalties, but not fully, because again, like some certain like track cuts are definitely deserved, but they'll give you like a 2-second penalty, and when you look at it, you gained like 0.2, and it's like, is 0.2 of gain really worth like a 2-second penalty? Like you definitely want the penalty to be a penalty, you know what I mean? You don't want it, if you gain 0.2, you don't want to penalize exactly 0.2, but 2 seconds is like a little severe. Like maybe like 1 second would be fair. I don't know. So yeah, we'll kind of like level with it. We'll kind of, you know, try to find a good balance there. Finally, at the end, I'm going to leave the gameplay going in the background, but I will give a bit of a preview here. But this was my new idea for how next year could look. Oh, well, it's time to move the face cam. This was my new idea for how it could look potentially. And if you look at this, it's going to look very similar to... It should look very similar to the Sunday stuff that we did in 2023 when we were doing the Sunday stuff. It should look very similar to that. So one thing I want to say right away is that none of this is concrete. None of this is concrete. It's all flowing. And the one thing that's concrete, I would say, right now, is this Daytona 24-hour. Again, we're not doing a 24-hour race. It is just the same weekend as that race. Ours is going to be HRL style, like 2 motos, and we're just like modeling it. It is not a 24. Just to clarify that immediately. But that's the one thing, like we'll try to hit that. And you see the Forza, like we have the Daytona one here. We have the other Daytona one for like the NASCAR side, like that might be pretty cool. And then we have the other races, and some of these have some pretty big breaks. Like this series, again, like we modeled it after the real life series, and there's some pretty big breaks here. Like look at this, a lot of these are like a month in between. So I don't think we'll have burnout for the Forza stuff. Like look at these gaps, very, very, very big gaps here throughout the year. I mean, yeah, it's mostly just one a month. It's mostly just one a month, and I'm honestly kind of excited for it. I think it'll be kind of cool to have a series with these big breaks in between and go throughout the year, and have that to follow. But again, like with those big breaks, like I don't think there'll be as big of a burnout factor because you just get those big time off. Like I think it'll be kind of cool. I think it'll be kind of different. As far as the Halo side, the only thing that I'm 100% locked into is doing another HRL Cup, doing another HRL main series season, which you see that here in the middle of the year. I think we will probably stick with that same time frame for when to start it, like this middle of the year time frame. I'm definitely locked. Like I definitely want to do that. As far as the other Halo stuff, I threw some other Halo stuff on here, but it's all kind of in flux. And again, like it looks very similar right now to the Sunday stuff, and that's kind of the intent, and that's kind of where I want the Halo stuff to go for a bit until we get a new game, is to go more towards that Sunday style where it's less like full seasons and more like mini series or like tournament nights and stuff like that, and just like random shit throughout. And yeah, I want it to be more like that. And then we get to do stuff that I want to do that doesn't necessarily always fit into like a series for a year, but it's events that we want to do in every year. Like for example, I put the Chili Bowl here because that's something that I want. I think it'd be cool if we did that. We might not always necessarily do a Woo season every year, but it would be cool to do a Chili Bowl event like every year and to just have that be a thing. Like that would be cool to have that. And having this different type of format kind of opens that up where we can do stuff like that and not always feel a need to like shoehorn it into a series where it doesn't necessarily belong or doesn't necessarily fit, but we can always do these events. Or like Kratos for tier, like we could always throw Kratos in, shit like that, and just like always work it in. So I just want to say that, like, I'm excited for this different approach. You know, I don't want it to be, we'll see how people react to it, but I don't want it to be like too negative. I actually think this will be kind of cool. Yeah, I think it'll be nice to have this different approach because of that extra freedom and being able to do different stuff and have some like regularity with it, but also some flexibility in certain weeks to do some shit. Like if Roman cooks up something and be like, oh, this is kind of cool, let's do a tournament with this. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it has like a best of both worlds you know, type outlook to it. Yeah, that's kind of how I'd look at it. But yeah, so that's kind of the look at it. That's kind of the plan right now. So the Forza stuff, again, the Forza stuff is very spread out, very different, and it'll last like the whole year. But again, it's only like one race a month. If you take a look at it, it's only like one race a month. So that'll be very different, but I think that'll be kind of cool. And like having those big breaks and having that, like having it feel like more of a bigger event when they come around. Like I think that'll be kind of fresh because we haven't really done anything exactly like that. I think that'll be kind of cool. And then yeah, like again, like this Halo stuff, the HRL Cup season in the middle, that's the one thing that I'm like, this might be Halo for a bit. The only like big seasons we might do for the next couple years is just like an HRL Cup a year. That was kind of my new vision. And again, just like mini series and tournaments and like annual shit like the Chili Bowl, like Kratos and stuff like that. But again, let me know what you think. I don't see it too negatively. I'm actually excited for this. I think that one of the things that can lead to like burnout and certain frustrations with doing these long seasons and committing to doing so many a year is just the fact that it's a long season, right? And that can even lead to more frustration because, like, for example, if you're having a bad season and you're getting towards the back half of that season, shit can sort of stack up and it can get more frustrating than it would be otherwise. Whereas with these events and just having like different one-off tournaments and different like mini series and stuff like that is a little more low stakes, which I think will increase the enjoyment and the fun factor a little bit and like lower the frustration a little bit. Because again, you know, if you have a shitty Chili Bowl, it's like, damn, that sucks. All right, what are we doing in 2 weeks? We have Kratos in 2 weeks. All right, well, we'll fucking do Kratos in 2. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think that'll be kind of fresh. I think that'll allow for a little bit more fun to be had. And yeah, just like a different, it'll be nice to have like a different approach to this type of stuff. So like we'll still be doing it, but we'll be doing it in a different way. and that'll hopefully, the idea is to allow for more fun and more flexibility, but also some like traditional stuff in there as well. Like I said, like I'd like to do a Chili Bowl every year. I'd get on Halo to do a Chili Bowl every year. I think that'd be fun. I'd get on Daytona and Forza to do a Daytona every year. I think that'd be fun. You know, I'd do an HRL Cup season every year. I think that'd be fun. Kratos, shit like that. So, and it opens up possibilities that I haven't mentioned. So this opens up the floor for you people as well, because, you know, that was something that we talked about in the other protocol cheeses, was like, okay, throwing this over, like, okay, like we have the Luch and Slaunch cook down here. Like, okay, Slaunch, what do you want to fucking do? All right, Roman, you want to cook something up? You know what I mean? This opens up more of that too. So like, what are your ideas? Like, if Roman just comes up with something and he's like, oh, I have this idea for 4 tracks, let's make a tournament out of it. I'm like, all right, fuck it, do it. You know, let's do it. Let's run it. We can just do stuff like that a little more freely now, instead of feeling like, okay, how do we fit this into the schedule? Or, okay, that's cool that you made this shit, but we're doing this right now, and we don't really want to like stack stuff on top of it. You know what I mean? Like, it'll allow for more spontaneous stuff like that, which will be fun. Will be fun. All right, 20 minutes is a long video, but to be fair, there was a lot to go through. Like, the beginning was mostly on the Forza side, and then going into all this too. I mean, there's a big can of worms opened here. There was a lot to go through. So I think I went through just about everything. As far as the Forza stuff goes, I tried to go over a lot of the ideas that we have and stuff like that. Game is on Game Pass, so if you don't own it, you could always go for Game Pass, or if you already have it, check it out on there. Or a big announcement too, if you don't want to like be subscribed to Game Pass for the whole time, Forza is on sale right now, and I think it's going to be on sale for another week-ish, I believe. And it's a pretty substantial sale too. I think it's only $30, which normally it's still like full price. So it's a pretty big sale too. And yeah, so definitely, if you're not, you know, subscribed to Game Pass the whole time, look into that. If you're thinking about doing this, which I hope most people I hope most of you will consider doing it, because we're really excited about it. And I really want to like put a lot of effort and passion into it. I didn't even mention the replay system. This game has like all the shit that we would have to like edit and post for Halo. It's just built into the replay system. Like, that's going to be awesome for doing race replays, like a ticker with everybody's position. I don't have to go through the mid-race, like, all right, let's go through everybody's position, because it's just there on the screen. You have a mini-map of the track that shows everybody's location. You can look at the fastest lap. Like, like just cool shit. Cool shit that I've wanted in Halo that we just have never had, that it's just all there in the game. Like, I don't know. I'm really excited for that stuff. Not having to forge, don't get me wrong. Forge is what makes, like, the Halo stuff that we do cool, but being able to just get on the game and be like, hey guys, the tracks are there. There's the tracks. Go load them up. You know what I mean? You don't have to go to some fucking file share. Go fucking get on the goddamn track. It's there. Like, that stuff is really exciting to me. That takes out a lot of the extra work that we have to put into the Halo stuff. You know, Forza is going to be very more so just get on the game and do the fucking thing, which is nice. Which is nice. From the league running management side is really nice. So I'm really excited for that aspect. All right, any questions or suggestions or any of that, you know, whatever, let me know. I'll do a bulleted point like post on Discord alongside this as well, to kind of like summarize stuff. The too long didn't watch type thing, but this hopefully had a lot more info and answers to potential questions, but I'm sure I missed stuff. So yeah, as always, comments are there for a reason. Discord's open. Like, go through it. All right, GG's. There's your mid-off season update. See you guys in the next one.